Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has commended NRM party members, local leaders and aspirants for the Omoro County Parliamentary seat for having a general consensus and agreeing to step down in favor of late Jacob Olanya's son, Andrew Olanya, to hold the party flag ahead of next month's by-elections. Now, this was during a stakeholders meeting presided over by President Museveni last night at his country home in Rwachitura, Kiruhura district. Robert Onyango has more.
As the Omoro County Member of Parliament by-elections draws nearer, a section of NRM members had shown interest to vie for the post, yet the party had initially singled out Ojok Andrew to replace his father, Jacobo Lokori Olanya.
I think here really the issue is, first of all, decency.
To calm the turbulent political waters down, the coachman of regional politics, President Yoweri Museveni, has mediated between the possible two conflicting parties. The mediation meeting was last night held at his Rwachitura country home in Kiruhura district. Among the attendants was Andrew Ojok Olanya, son to the late former Speaker Jacob Olanya, Omoro LC5 chairperson Okero Douglas Peter, District Speaker Olal Obong, Aselem Ben and Okero Francis.
If Olanya had not died, we would have had no elections in that area until 2026. Now he dies. Totally unexpected. So I think the decent thing to do is, if there is a sentiment that let one of the children of Olanya stand in for him and for us for the remaining period, these 4 years.
He advised the party members to rather get on their boots in 2026 if in case Ojok disappoints them.
Whether he becomes useful or useless, we shall see. That's not the end of the world. If the boy is given a chance and doesn't perform, this is not the end of the world. Then you can compete in 2026 with the boy if he doesn't perform well.
President Museveni, however, commended the aspirants for heeding to the advice of the party by letting it go and acknowledged the consensus of working together.
But then there's also not wasting our time, not overburdening us, like the one who wanted to give us Peko and when the speaker was going to cause us problems. Peko and when the chairman was going to give us Peko a deck. But why are you doing this? We are mourning, now you also add Pekos. Why don't you say, this is not the time to, let's look for the line of least resistance. And that's why, so I'm very happy to hear you, many of you, yourselves, saying no, this is not the right thing.
Upon cementing the historical conclusion, a vote of thanks was extended by the district woman MP to the president.
As party members, we look forward to harmoniously reach consensus in choosing a flag bearer, which I am happy you've just been dealing with it, with your guidance. It is our strategic concern that this by-election should not divide us as a team and as a people, more so NRM.
Using interpreters, a section of cultural and local leaders thanked President Yoweri Museveni for his comradeship to the late Speaker Jacob Olanya during life and death.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you for doing the various good jobs you have been doing around. And secondly, I also want to thank you for the support you have given our son, Jacob Olanya, taking him for treatment abroad, Unfortunately, God has taken his life.
The cultural leaders also appreciated the president to have restored cultural institutions in Uganda.
I also want to thank you for bringing the various chiefdoms and kingdoms that during Obote's time were pressed down, but during your government, you have brought us up again. We thank you.
In attendance were members of Omoro District Executive, NRM Secretary General Richard Tadwong, Party Electoral Chairperson Dr. Tango Doi, opinion and religious leaders. Museveni also reassured his support to the Oranya Education Trust Fund. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni has emphasized that as freedom fighters, promoting prosperity for the people and building strategic security are at the heart of their mission for Uganda and Africa. The president, who is also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, was yesterday delivering a lecture of opportunity to the Tanzanian National Defense College officers who are on a tour of duty here in Uganda. The opportunity lecture took place at the president's country home in Rwachitura, Chiruhura district.
Your Excellency, sir, the faculty requested that we ask you to mention something on the promotion of industrialization in the socio-economic development.
I welcome you to Uganda. I think to get a good picture, I need to inform you that Uganda had become a failed state. It had become a failed state. It had collapsed. When we analyzed the reasons for all this chaos, we came up with 2 missions that would be assisted by 4 principles. Now, the 2 missions were, mission number 1 is how do you build prosperity in an African country? How do you build prosperity? It's not only for Uganda, even for other countries, for the whole of Africa. Then secondly, how do you build strategic security? When we talk of prosperity, we are talking of prosperity for the family, for the individual. Now, to be prosperous in a modern way, you must produce a good or a service, and you sell it. Then we said, okay, if that is the case, for modern life, you need a producer of a good or a service and a consumer. But you need infrastructure to link the two. So therefore, we said, in order to achieve our mission of prosperity, we said first principle must be patriotism. Patriotism. Principle number 1 is patriotism. In Swahili, we say uzalendo. I think we say uzalendo. So that's why we say socio-economic transformation through participating in the 4 sectors of the economy where you can make money. One of them is commercial agriculture, but with a sub, with a calculation. Without a calculation, you may be in the money economy but never get out of poverty. Then, second sector is the one we are talking about, industries. Industries, big or small. But as you know, industries, once they produce products, they need a market. They need a market within Uganda. They need a market in Africa, in the region, and they need a market internationally. But even internationally, for us to negotiate with the big market, we need our own big market. Sisi tukiona soko kubwa, inakuwa rahisi to bargain with the big people. Say, oh, if you don't allow me in your market, I will also not allow you in mine. The market within Uganda, it is through political unity of our people so that we concentrate on uniting Uganda, not tribes and religion.
Now, the Vice President, Major retired Jessica Alupo, has urged leaders to provide quality leadership for successful implementation of the Parish Development Model Program. The program seeks to increase household income and improving the quality of life of Ugandans with a specific focus on total transformation of the subsistence households into the money economy, as well as eradicating poverty and vulnerability in Uganda. We have more in this report.
Addressing local council chairpersons from 7 sub-counties in Katakwi district, the Vice President asked the leaders to pick interest in the welfare of the people and provide leadership at the community levels to ensure the parish development model succeeds.
We are one of the districts which belong to the 7 regions whose per capita income is still very low, to the extent that we belong to those 7 regions in the whole of Uganda, which made it impossible for Uganda to move from the level where we are now to middle income status.
The parish development model was launched last February in Kibuko district, Bukedia sub-region, by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The model is designed under 7 pillars, which include production, storage, processing and marketing, infrastructure and economic services, financial inclusion, social services, mindset change, parish-based management information system, governance and administration. The State Minister for Local Government, Victoria Rusoke Businje, said the model offers decision-making in the hands of beneficiaries who will decide what suits them best in their locality.
So in Uganda, we are fighting corruption, and we want everybody to be straightforward right from the grassroots. So that a very good LOC1, LOC2, LOC3, LOC5 must be transparent to the dots. The money which comes is a conduit. You are supposed to use it for what it's meant to be, so that we can develop our villages, develop our sub-counties, develop our district and the country at large.
Julius Kapwepwe Mishambi, the technical advisor on the model from the Ministry of Local Government, said through the model they are going to move households that are still in subsistence farming to the money economy.
The Commander, Special Forces Command, Brigadier General Felix Busizori, has called on the force to be transparent, emphasize training and use revolutionary methods of work in the defense of the country and her interests. Brigadier General Busizori was presiding over the handover ceremony and takeover of the office of Deputy Commander of the SFC by Brigadier General Charite Bainababo from Brigadier General David Mugisha. Brigadier General David Mugisha now heads to be the second in command, 3rd Division. Commander Busizori called on the officers to put emphasis on training and maintenance of equipment, among other things, and above all, always be ready to defend the country.
All I expect of you is work and nothing less. Outside the work domain, we shall be buddies. But at work, we shall work. We have a duty as a generation to carry the revolution forward. So we cannot afford to give less. To whom much is given, much is expected. Directors and commanders, and this is what I'll demand of you. Combat readiness, ideology of the personnel, and their welfare. Combat readiness. If we do not train, we have no reason to call ourselves a special forces command. If we train them so hard and we don't deal with their ideology, they will not know why they fight. Combat readiness, training deals with the how to fight, and ideology deals with why we fight. So these two must go hand in hand. Napoleon Bonaparte said that armies march on their stomachs. We must care for the welfare of our personnel. And this I will be on your case every day to ensure that we achieve combat readiness, ideology, and take care of the welfare of our personnel.
Uganda Civil Aviation Authority has clarified on the incident that happened earlier today morning when a Rwanda Air Bombardier CRJ aircraft overshot the Entebbe International Airport runway. According to Uganda Civil Aviation Authority spokesperson Vianney Lugia, the aircraft had the incident due to bad weather that would not guarantee safe landing. Fortunately, all passengers were disembarked safely and the situation is under control. Take a watch.
Vianney.
This morning at about 5:31 a.m., Rwanda Air was landing at Entebbe International Airport and it unfortunately veered off the runway in the process of landing. The good news is that none of the passengers on board got hurt. There were 44 passengers on board and 7 crew. They all disembarked safely. Since then, concerted efforts have been in place to ensure that the aircraft, which was on the runway strip, is removed to enable operations to resume on the main runway 1735. During the time when we had this challenge, a few airlines were affected. They couldn't take off or land, and that affected some airlines, including Kenya Airways, Air Arabia, Saudia, Ethiopian Airlines, Taco Air, Qatar, and Emirates. We issued a notice to airmen, which is called a NOTAM, alerting airlines of what had happened at Entebbe. And a number of them did not take off from where they were coming from. For instance, Ethiopian remained on the ground in Addis until the situation normalized. The same happened with Kenya Airways and several others that received this NOTAM in advance.
First of all, the runway has been closed from that time. That means no aircraft has taken off or landed. And you can imagine the effects of, on people who are traveling with lots of business meetings all over, or those who are going to see their family. So it's really affected their travel, and it's quite unfortunate. Yeah. But we're trying to do as much as possible to do recoveries so that they can be on the next available flights. I would say we're very, very, very sorry for what happened. It's not something that happens on a regular. It's something beyond our own control. You could tell that there was really bad weather. And when it's in such circumstances, really you can't really blame it all of it onto the people who are managing the aircraft or the company itself. So we're deeply sorry, and we'll do whatever is within our means to do recoveries, all customer recoveries, and make sure that you travel onto the next available flights to your destinations.
A Civil Aviation Authority spokesperson Vianney Lugia clarifying on that incident at Entebbe International Airport earlier today. And the news coming in is that the main runway is now open and flights are taking off and also landing. It's back to business now at Entebbe International Airport. Now, the Finance Committee of Parliament has blocked 319 billion shillings funding to the controversial Lubowa Hospital meant to handle specialized treatment in Uganda. The committee, chaired by Dr. Kefa Chiwanuka, Member of Parliament, Chiboga East, says the works on the specialized hospital have remained secret, yet its public funds are being utilized. MPs claim alleged on several occasions they have been blocked to access the site. However, the allegation was followed and the ejection of Finance Minister Malaria out of the committee. Philip Aguta with a report.
That the contractor has defaulted and there are no certificates to go by. It means as a committee we have no obligation to advance more money in this respect.
Controversies surrounding the proposed specialized hospital at Lubowa in Wakiso districts are not yet over. After members of parliament who were blocked from carrying out their supervisory role on the stalled proposed Lubowa Government International Specialized Hospital last year, the same MPs have also paid back by blocking the funding of the hospital.
I strongly pray.
Finance Minister Malaria had showed up before the committee to present a total of 319 billion shillings for the MPs to approve to commence the construction works on the site in Lubowa. However, the move collapsed on its own weight.
But we need to be satisfied, to be completely satisfied. 2 days ago, there was news that the works done so far is 20%. The contractor even stated that there is no contract on the ground because all the other companies have run away. And yet they have received money. This company, Vinch, has not paid the contractor, so the contractor ran away. They have no contractor. So why do they need money? So we go to the ground, but once if you convince us with documents and seeing at the budget committee level, we can make adjustment, then go back to the house. But today, we are giving you zero.
There is no value for money, therefore we cannot release more money, and we have recommended strongly as finance committee, we have signed, we are not going to release money. Even if it comes in a supplementary, we shall not approve. Because there is no need to please Ugandans that indeed the government is for them, and yet this is a critical sector. Health is a critical sector that we need to fund. We need to come up with a specialized hospital. But how do we give people who are just eating money? They are not doing work.
The MPs cited a number of irregularities, including government keeping the works on the site a secret, contractor failing to complete works within the stipulated time frame, and even abandoning the work.
Construction is not qualitative. It's both qualitative and quantitative. It is something that you can verify. So through your chair, may I request the minister, one, to lay down the certificates of completion so far that amount to 348 billion in line with the contract.
Several times went to visit that place. They were stopped by security forces that were surrounding the place. So if you cannot allow Parliament to go and see where we have already spent over 345 billion shillings, then what is wrong? Then today you come without a certificate of completion.
The MPs paid a deaf ear to the plea by Finance Minister that works were delayed due to COVID-19 until a deal was reached for the MPs to visit the hospital on Thursday this week before monies could be approved for the hospital.
We still have time on the clock a little. Could we, Minister, you are here with us, you can call whatever authority tomorrow at 8 with you and your team and this committee. We go to Lubowa and physically see. Yes. We may wait for the technical people, but also our eyes can see.
The construction of Lubowa Specialized Hospital started in 2019 and would have been completed this year. But it was a surprise to MPs that government is still requesting for the funds. So far, 345 billion shillings have been released for the construction of the hospital, and the total cost was meant to be 1.4 trillion shillings. The Lubowa site remains empty, and MPs are questioning the whereabouts of the previous funds approved by the 10th Parliament for the same project. Malaria, the Finance Minister, declined to comment. Philip Aguta, UBC News at Parliament.
Lubowa Hospital saga indeed. Now, government is on the verge of introducing a malaria control vaccine to overcome deaths caused by the ailment. Minister for Health, Jen Ruth Acheng, says the vaccine production that is pending clearance from World Health Organization could start by the end of next year, 2023. Ms. Acheng was reacting to a motion presented by the Parliamentary Forum for Malaria Control, seeking to, among other things, have more funding for malaria control. Henry Okrut reports.
I have seen nets being given to the people.
Mosquito nets have been distributed.
Those nets being used on weddings.
Drugs have been availed.
We tend to forget about malaria.
And residual spraying has been conducted.
The spraying goes to the bleeding places.
None of this has brought to zero deaths caused by malaria, something attributed to little funding.
The larviciding program that would actually kill the larvae at the water sources has never been funded, and yet that would help us reduce on the mosquitoes that get into our houses.
There is a mismatch between the drugs given for the treatment of malaria and also the number of the patients.
The motion moved by Jinja South Division Member of Parliament, Batua Timothy, was seconded by many legislators.
Parliament urges government to increase the health sector budget for the prevention, control and elimination of malaria in a predictable manner over the medium term.
I went to 3 health centers and almost all the statistics were showing that malaria cases were very high. Out of the 10 patients that were coming to the health centers, all of them had malaria.
Under their umbrella, Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Malaria Control, their concerns caught the attention of line ministers on Wednesday afternoon.
Many of you are aware that scientists have been studying the malaria vaccine, and research has been carried out on the vaccine. We are now ready for implementation. The vaccine introduction may take place at the end of next year, majorly for children. It is not 100% effective, it is about 50% effective, but it is good enough for us if it can bring the burden of malaria down.
Malaria is reported to cause an average annual economic loss of over $500 million in Uganda. Its related expenses are said to account for about 34% of the total expenditure for the poorest sections of the population in the country.
A mother dies and leaves behind children as orphans, and yet this is a disease that can be treated. This is a disease that is preventable, and it's a disease that can be eliminated.
About 4 years ago, the president made a pledge at the Commonwealth Summit in London, where he pledged 380 billion that his government would allocate for malaria control. Over the years, that has not been effective. But also, us as members of parliament has a key role to play. We must legislate.
These concerns come at a time Uganda is set to join the rest of the world to commemorate World Malaria Day on 25th April 2022. It will be held under the theme, Harness Innovation to Reduce the Malaria Disease Burden and Save Lives. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Now, Uganda National Drug Authority has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Church of Uganda that's geared at fighting drug and substance abuse among Ugandans. The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, together with the Chairman, National Drug Authority, Dr. Medad Bitecherezo, witnessed the signing at the NDA Quality Control Laboratory at Mulago National Referral Hospital.
Fighting drug and substance abuse among Ugandans calls for joint efforts between government, civil society and the private sector. The Church of Uganda, together with the Uganda National Drug Authority, have signed a memorandum of understanding to end drug and substance abuse among Ugandans. The Provincial Secretary, Church of Uganda, Reverend Canon William Ongeng, signed on behalf of the church, while Dr. Helen Ndagije signed on behalf of the authority, witnessed by Archbishop Kazimba Mugalu and NDA Chairman Dr. Medad Bitechelezo. Dr. Kazimba Mugalu, on behalf of the over 13 million believers of the church, say that the move will supplement the church's effort to fight such vices in society, targeting school-going children.
There are many younger people, so it's good to partner so that we work together. And through these campaigns, this is what we have achieved. Drug-free policy at Uganda Christian University.
Dr. Medad Bitechelezo expressed concerns regarding parents who neglect their children, leading them into drug abuse.
Please, we must partner with everyone to ensure that these messages reach the people.
Dr. Helen Ndagije, in charge of technical management at NDA, cited poverty as a major cause of drug abuse among the youth. Before the signing ceremony, the Archbishop was taken on a guided tour of the new laboratory and prayed for its success. Uganda is a signatory to the UN Narcotic Convention, and Uganda has a narcotic law passed in April 2015.
We'll now be taking a short break, but we'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
Need to send money to a loved one but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop but you don't have enough money? Don't worry, get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves, high-flying saves, unbelievable goals, out-of-this-world celebrations.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Go TV. Love it.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Total Energies has undertaken a number of initiatives aimed at ensuring that Ugandan entities and citizens are adequately equipped to participate in the oil and gas sector. Some of these initiatives include training of heavy goods vehicle drivers.
Total Energies contracted Safer Right Way to develop skills for the drivers from Albertine region. They are accommodated free meals, free transport from here to Kampala. Everything is catered for by Total. We do train ladies as well, and as I talk right now, we have got another team of about 15 ladies in Kampala.
People are getting crashes on the way because they don't know what to do. I've got a lot of skills. I know how we should protect one another, the safety of the other road users, which wasn't the case before. And I never expected to really sit in such a truck and drive it. I'm happy and humbled to be part of this group.
Total Energies EP Uganda is committed to the empowerment of Ugandans to take an active part in the overall development of the oil project in Uganda.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Now, there is growing concern on over the use of the abridged curriculum, with schools and teachers raising eminent issues which seem to have been ignored by the authorities in the Ministry of Education and Sports. Now, whereas the ministry is rooting for a compressed or abridged curriculum, ostensibly to fast-track teaching and learning and make up for the time lost during the prolonged school closure triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers are struggling to implement it. In today's press conference at Uganda Media Center, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Dennis Mujimba, explained the paradox of the abridged curriculum in which many teachers and parents are caught between a hard surface and a hard rock.
A survey conducted in different parts of the country by education experts, in which several teachers raised concerns ranging from lack of access to the curriculum to orientation on how to implement the unheard of concept, abridged curriculum. The outcomes of the survey could vividly be manifested in the recent end-of-term reports of pupils handed over to parents. Many of the parents couldn't understand the grading reflected neither the pupils, an indication of a huge problem that puts into question whether even the teachers are well versed with the abridged curriculum. Despite several training held to equip teachers with skills to apply while administering the abridged curriculum on pupils, a lot of questions remain unanswered about the new abridged curriculum, a reason to why the Ministry of Education has come out to explain the paradox in which many teachers and parents now find themselves held between a hard rock and a hard surface.
These report cards have to explain exactly in this topic what competencies has a child gained, what skills can a child be able to demonstrate, can a child be able to discuss or to explain a concept. And that's why the report card is as long as that. But
in several engagements with head teachers, they often pointed out the fact that access to the abridged curriculum was greatly impacted by the technology divide, yet ministry officials comfortably thought all teachers can have equal access. In rural areas where teachers have failed to access the abridged curriculum, both government and private schools have decided to devise means of teaching using the old standard curriculum. Some have revealed that, open quotes, the ministry passed on the directive of using the abridged curriculum late and no copies of the same were delivered, making it impossible to implement. To address the dilemma at play, the Ministry of Education and Sports has scheduled the 4th Teacher Education Symposium to assess the implementation status of the recommendations from the earlier symposium and provide more training to the teachers.
We've come up with blended learning. COVID has now taught us that we can not only be in a classroom where there are 4 walls and a blackboard, but we can also use other blended systems to ensure continuity of learning. But also we shall share experiences on teacher-led interventions to mitigate the impact of COVID on education.
2 weeks after school reopening, the National Curriculum Development Center organized trainings on how to use the abridged curriculum. Open quotes. The training was on Zoom in Mukono on the first day. The host of the training wasted over 3 hours organizing members who seemed alien to Zoom and online applications that facilitates the meetings. Poor connectivity of the internet from the NCDC disrupted several hours of training for the secondary section as the moderators kept going on and off. Open quotes. The Zoom meeting was scheduled to run from morning to evening. However, many teachers attended for a short while and went offline. This can be blamed on the fact that not many teachers had data to keep them online for 2 whole days. Close quotes.
In a related development, the National Curriculum Development Center and the Ministry of Education and Sports rolled out the lower secondary curriculum in February 2020 that aimed at producing graduates with employable skills. The acting director, the Directorate of Industrial Training, Patrick Byakatonda, says students will be equipped with hands-on skills for self-sustenance.
The acting director, Directorate of Industrial Training, Patrick Byakatonda, says learners will be subjected to vocational training to prepare them for gainful employment. Byakatonda was sensitizing over 200 national ICT teachers on the new curriculum set up at Trinity College Nabingo in Wakiso District.
I've been passing them, going through how they can teach ICT. ICT is one of the occupations which can be assessed and certified by DIT. But also ICT assists them to access other assessment and training packages using online.
Byakatonda says ICT is critical in accessing the assessment training packages which were developed in the new curriculum.
But ICT has occupations, so those occupations, the DIT, like a computer application user, it is the DIT to assess and certify them. So it becomes very important and very critical because so many students, some candidates have been having certificates of different organizations, maybe of training institutions themselves, but now it is a chance for them to have a national recognized certificate in ICT at that early age.
The head of department ICT, Trinity College Nabingo, Tulina Dorothy, says the new curriculum has made the education sector more practical.
This training, we are imparting more skills that are required in the 21st century. So we thought it wise for our ICT teachers to get the 21st century skills in line with ICT. We are also incorporating in an area for ICT integration in the new curriculum, since ICT is also an elective subject in the new lower secondary curriculum.
ICT is among the 8 selective subjects for the START to be assessed in 2023 by the Directorate of Industrial Training. Others are agriculture, art and design, entrepreneurship, performing arts, nutrition and food technology, physical education and technology, and design. Each student will sit for only one occupation according to his competence and convenience. I'm Nafka Farida. I'm Ganga Henry.
And some rather sad news, and an accident on Lake Bunyonyi has claimed the life of an 18-year-old student of Buhumba Foundation College in Katenga Parish, Kamuganguzi Sub-County, Kabale District. Promise Ahumuza allegedly drowned when the local canoe she was sailing on together with her father and sister capsized.
The incident happened when Christopher Kaganga with his 2 daughters and the deceased were sailing from Butenga area in Chitumba sub-county where they had gone to collect sweet potatoes. Floydus Tumusingize, one of the accident survivors, said that what started as a good harvesting day turned ill-fated when the lake got rougher than ever before.
Pulled into the lake, then after some time we had to swim. We struggled by our own manpower, but we failed. But good enough, me and my father, we had to hold the boat. Then my sister failed to come closer to that boat. That canoe, after like 10 minutes, we looked around and we failed to see her.
Henry Turamwe, a neighbor to the deceased's family, recounted how he physically saw the accident that claimed Ahumuza.
Ryato ryangezi riri kutandika kuzerera nahuriraho n'enduru konka yatarasawundinga jabuje ngo hariho umuyaga za twatandika mbweno twayirundana babari mu kibungo twena twashuma nyanja twaterera abamato baje batuyamba.
Mary Begumisa, the deceased's mother, said that she had left home for another field. She left at a time when her daughters were joining their father to go for a harvest of sweet potatoes, but her heart did not keep at peace until one of her sons called her home for an emergency.
Mami jota ngokuzika bamali kuzika ubwo bo bambishire nanye nabagira ntari cyabaho konka mu mbishe ntabuko umutima gwanje tigwabonyere mukamuka niko bakangira ngo aho muza promise ya ruhom bari na
Milton Niwamanya, the officer in charge of the Marine Police Unit, said after getting a report of the accident, he rushed to the scene, but efforts to trace the body of the deceased were futile. The point where the accident occurred was too deep, but this did not stop the search operation to retrieve the body of the deceased.
Jackets, it can assist them. Life jackets can assist them because a life jacket, you can float for some hours. And also, if they can study the weather and learn that, and learn how to obey the weather. If the weather is rough, then they don't enter the lake.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last command and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Football packages, great entertainment, sports, the local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Everybody, Go TV. This is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Uganda shillings per month. GoTV, great stories. Zidiwano, GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Need to send money to a loved one but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop but you don't have enough money? Don't worry, get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at business news. The new leadership of the Central Corridor Secretariat has vowed to actively market the corridor with a view of boosting international and domestic traffic levels. Transformation from a cargo access-based to a market access-based corridor is what Flori Okanjo, the new executive secretary, is determined to achieve as he commences his first three-year term. Henry Okrut gives us more.
The corridor is determined to remain relevant, effective and efficient in promoting socio-economic well-being of communities and enterprises of the member states. This has been emphasized by Flori Okanjo, the new executive secretary of the Central Corridor Transit Transport Facilitation Agency.
The business community, I would like to thank them because they are the key players of Central Corridor. I would like to invite them to continue to work together with Central Corridor, to trust Central Corridor Secretariat, and mainly those from Kampala. I would like to tell them that I'm coming because I want to bring all of them to use the depot, to use the Central Corridor route.
He succeeds Captain Dieudonné Dukundane, who had served in the position for 6 years. Dukundane acknowledges the role played by development partners in supporting the organization's development agenda.
Safrori Okanjo Okonge, the new executive secretary of the Central Corridor, is someone I've been working with for the past 5 years. I would wish everyone to give him full support. I would once again wish to call all development partners to continue supporting Central Corridor under his leadership.
Although the Secretariat under the leadership of Captain Dukundane made great achievements, member countries continue to grapple with numerous gaps and infrastructural deficits. This is associated with high costs of cargo tracking and low profitability for the business community. However, Okanju, the former head of communication and advocacy at CCTTFA, promises to prioritize the Secretariat's 2021-2025 strategic plan for the good of the organization and the member states.
I'm here to implement the strategic plan of Central Corridor because this strategic plan is a document elaborated and validated, approved by the countries, and you will find all priority projects of countries member here inside.
The strategic plan aims at harmonizing the processes to ease the movement of goods and services along the corridor and across the borders. Key regional integration and corridor development initiatives being implemented include construction of the standard gauge railway, rehabilitation and expansion of the Dar es Salaam port and the Lake ports, rehabilitation and expansion of cross-border road network, rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway network, and the rehabilitation and expansion of international airports, among others. Dennis Igoa for UBC News in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Thanks, Dennis Sigua, for that story there. Meanwhile, Uganda Clays Limited projected a net profit of 5.92 billion shillings in the year 2021. Now, the non-executive member of the Board of Directors, Uganda Clays Limited, Marion Muyobo, disclosed the net profit fetched during the fiscal year at the factory premises in Kajansi, Wakiso district.
The 11 billion shillings investment in Uganda Clays Limited in the financial year 2021 has registered tremendous achievements, with total revenue collection increased by 24%. This means Uganda Clays has a supplement of over 36 billion shillings in 2021 compared to 29.7 billion shillings in the fiscal year 2020. The net profit increased by 27%, which symbolizes an estimate of 17 billion shillings from 13.5 billion shillings in 2020, respectively.
Revenue for the period, as earlier mentioned, stood at 36.7 billion due to improved efficiencies and increased volume sales during the period, while our gross profit improved to 27% from the prior period. Operating costs, as earlier mentioned, matched the increase in revenue, moving from 9.4 billion.
During the fiscal year, results represented at the factory premise in Kajansi, Wakiso district, net profit trajectory was attributed to improved efficiencies in production and increase in sale volume.
There's potential growth in sales because our middle income group is growing high. Our product availability is increasing, and both availability and access. We've just opened agents everywhere, and the value proposition we're giving to our clients, not only are we giving them roofing tiles, we are giving cladding tiles, floor tiles, and all these are growing in volume, growing in quality, growing in variety.
The non-executive member of the Board of Directors, Uganda Clays Limited, Marion Muyobo, explained the factory strategy to meet the 2023 production of high-standard local bricks with a target of revenue collection totaling 72 billion shillings.
What this strategy entails is there are key focus areas to deliver on our vision, because our vision comes first. So customer satisfaction is related to the fact that we shall be able to supply customers on time, the service will be great, and we shall, customers will have a very beautiful end product. So right now we have matrices, we have a target of 90%, and we are at 81%, but we know we are going to get to the 90%.
Uganda Clays' total assets also were amplified by an 18% increment that brought in 74.5 billion shillings, mainly attributed to purchase of clay deposits and deliberate investment in Kajansi and Kamonkoli plants in Mbale City.
Today in history.
On 20th April 1966, 5 ex-ministers in Obote's government appeared in court. The ex-ministers were Grace Ibingira, Dr. Emmanuel Lamu, Matthias Ngobi, George Majezi, and Balachi Chiria. They were arrested in February 1966 at a cabinet meeting and were charged with attempting to overthrow the government. These were remanded and transferred to Luzira prison until 1971, when President Idi Amin released them.
A World Cup in the desert? The first one in the Middle East. The first to be held at the end of the year? That's crazy. Get ready for spectacular moves, high-flying saves, unbelievable goals, out-of-this-world celebrations.
Would you believe it? What a moment here!
All 64 matches live. That's over 5,000 action-packed minutes of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Now that's crazy. Catch all the action only on SuperSport, your world of champions. On Go TV. Love it.
Choose our with Airtel Money Quick Loans. Get a top-up loan when you have insufficient funds to buy airtime, pay utility bills, or make payments at a local supermarket. Complete your transaction and pay later. Dial *185*7*10# to opt in. Get an Airtel Money Quick Loan and pay later. Choose our with Airtel Money Quick Loans in partnership with Housing Finance Bank and powered by Yabex. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Behind the headline.
The coffee agreement is the biggest stock in town. This is the agreement that was signed between the Ministry of Finance on behalf of Uganda government, together with the Vinci Coffee Company, the Italian company in Uganda. Stakeholders from all spheres of Uganda have said that they were not consulted. Even the Minister of Agriculture said he was not consulted and he was not party to the deal. The government of Uganda has come out to say that the deal stands to benefit Ugandans, but Ugandans are not yet sure as what is in this deal for them. Coffee is the second foreign exchange earner for Uganda government, and just last year alone, the government earned $658 million out of coffee exports. In tonight's Behind the Headlines edition, we shall be discussing details concerning this agreement and whether there is value for money for Uganda government and who stands to benefit in this deal.
Behind the headline, all on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A couple of sports items now, and first, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for East African Community Affairs, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, has visited Entebbe University. The visit is part of the preparations by the Luwero-based institution to host the East Africa University Games this December. John Barnes Sentamu reports.
Entebbe University's pursuit to host a successful 12th East Africa University Games has received a nod from the third Deputy Prime Minister Rebecca Kadaga, who also used the occasion to speak harmonization of the regional academic qualifications. Kadaga was at the institution's Luwero campus, where she toured facilities to be used during the games that usually collect close to 4,000 athletes from 12 countries.
Concerning the games, our work is the integration, widening, deepening collaboration. So this is another opportunity for our friends to come, the old and the new, and also those who are not very near, but we share something, both like the Ethiopians. I think we are really, it's a very exciting opportunity. I hope that with time, by the way, the area which is not working as quickly as we should is the harmonization of academic qualifications in the region. So I think that if we continue collaborating together, it might help us to fast track academic harmonization.
The University Vice-Chancellor, Professor Elia Bulugujo, lamented about lack of facilities but promised quality games from which many future stars will be tapped.
The passion of the students, that togetherness, the faith and the hope, because people give up. When there is a failure, they give up. But here we struggle and eventually triumph.
The games start on 16th December 2022 for 5 days and will include disciplines like hockey, sitting volleyball and beach handball.
The Entebbe project is very exciting that one of our members is going to be having all these facilities, and we look forward to the support of all the stakeholders to ensure that we achieve it.
Entebbe University will be defending a crown it has won on 6 other occasions, but expects stern competition from, among others, Makerere University, Uganda Christian University, Uganda Matters University, and Kampala University, and also from the foreign cast. John Barnes, Sentamo.
Brought to you by...
We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Six minutes after 9 in the studios of UBC TV, we've finally come to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for having kept us company. On sign language, it has been Elizabeth Nakakoni, and I am Rukidi Edward KIJJANANGOMA, wishing you a blessed day. But remember that coming up shortly, it's Super Soul Sisters, and that will be followed at 10 by Behind the Headlines. Good night and see you tomorrow.
We bring you a fresh, well-researched program to help you identify opportunities for investment, job creation, growing your entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and social transformation. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Every week, we showcase opportunities for creating new products and services. Excellence in innovation, the passion and drive to succeed, and the right mindset to grow your business. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Brought to you by Operation Wealth Creation.
Behind the Headline.
The coffee agreement is the biggest talk in town. This is the agreement that was signed between the Ministry of Finance on behalf of Uganda government, together with the Vinci Coffee Company, the Italian company in Uganda. Stakeholders from all spheres of Uganda have said that they were not consulted. Even the Minister of Agriculture said he was not consulted and he was not party to the deal. The government of Uganda has come out to say that the deal stands to benefit Ugandans, but Ugandans are not yet sure as what is in this deal for them.